where news comes first. The Coastal Carolinas news leader. This is WECT News at 11.
A new effort tries to convince local teenagers not to text while driving.
Plus, a cheerleader holding a banner is flattened by her own football team. Good evening and thanks for joining us.
Our top story tonight, more teachers for schools where children are struggling. That's the solution the New Hanover County School Board is considering. The problem, how to lift up schools that traditionally lag behind the others. WECT's Kim Gebbia joins us live. Kim, what schools are we talking about here?
Jim, they're called the county's at-risk schools. Board member Nick Rose listed Williston, Gregory, Freeman, and Snipes, just to name a few. Rhodes and other board members say students at those schools typically have lower test scores, and there are more instances of behavioral problems. They say the answer could be putting more seasoned teachers in those schools. Now, with time, of course, comes experience, and that's why the board is trying to put teachers with more years under their belts into those high-risk classrooms. Board members Nick Rhodes and Janice Kavanaugh suggested an incentive program that will give a pay raise to those teachers after 3 years. Other members suggested using the taxpayers' money to put more teacher assistants in those classrooms. The head of the PTA says both are good ideas, but the answer doesn't always lie in adding teachers or money. She says parents are the biggest resource of all.
So you need to think outside the box a little bit, and we need to figure out ways to make parents want to come to school and want to help, and make them feel comfortable, in the schools. And I think that's a resource we're missing out on.
And the idea for the payment boost for seasoned teachers will now head to the finance department. If it materializes, it will be put into effect in fall of 2008. Fran, back to you.
All right, thanks, Kim. The school district has a new public face tonight, and it's a familiar face to local reporters. The school board has chosen Valida Quattlebaum to be the district's new spokeswoman and media coordinator. Quattlebaum knows her way around the local media. She has been spokeswoman for the town of Carolina Beach. Let's go now to First Alert meteorologist Craig Carnesi.
Good evening, Francis. Good evening, everyone. Cool night out there tonight, but nowhere chilly as we've seen in previous nights, or at least last night. It won't be quite as cool by morning. In fact, by morning, we'll see a few more clouds around, at least in our coastal counties, and temperatures in the mid-40s to mid-50s. No frost advisories tonight. Northeast winds around 3 to 8, although some low-lying areas could hit the upper 30s for lows tonight. Warmer weather is on the way. Rain chances in the forecast as well. Plus, we'll have the latest for you on Tropical Storm Noel here in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Craig. The latest now on the investigation into the Ocean Isle Beach fire. This is the scene today. It's much quieter, with fewer reporters and media trucks and fewer people driving by and snapping pictures. Investigators say they're focusing on the back deck as to look for what sparked the fire that killed 7 college students. The State Bureau of Investigation is handling the probe, and officials say they're hoping to make their conclusions public on Friday. Now, when that fire broke out, phone calls started pouring into the 911 center. One of those calls stands out because it sounds like the dispatcher is somewhat confused. Listen.
First County 911, what's your emergency?
I'm looking the address, Scotland Street.
Hello?
Let me see if I can help these people.
Okay.
Can you get the fire department here?
Sure. What's the address, sir?
I'm not sure. Scotland Street. They'll see it.
Where is that?
Ocean Isle Beach.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, wait a minute. I need something better than that. I'm not familiar with the area.
Okay, I'm looking for an address.
Okay. What's wrong?
A house fire.
Oh, I didn't know that, sir. You didn't tell me.
It would be Unit 1, Ocean Isle Beach, house number 1, Scotland Street.
Scotland?
Yes.
See if they is anybody there, sir?
There are people here.
Could you ask anybody, see if they can give me an address?
They're trapped in the house, lady.
I know, sir. I mean, you're telling me, but how can I send somebody if I don't know where to go?
Well, I told you the address is number 1 Scotland Street, Ocean Isle Beach.
Now, we spoke with Tom Rogers, a deputy director for the 911 center, and he says the audio on the call you just heard was much clearer than what the dispatcher actually heard. He says it was difficult to hear because 20 calls came in at the same time, but he adds they are reviewing it.
We always go back after, especially major incidents, but even small incidents. We go back and look at policy, making sure policy was followed, looking at procedures, making sure things were handled as they should.
Now, Rogers says they'll wrap up that review by the end of the week. Hampstead residents have waited for years to vote on whether to become a town, and some aren't waiting any longer. Election day on the incorporation issue is 1 week from today. Elections officials say more than 1,000 people have already been to the polls during this early voting period. About 6,500 people are eligible to vote. You see signs about the issue all around Hampstead. Opponents say becoming a town will lead to higher taxes. Supporters say it's the only way to control the area's future.
Tonight's Democratic presidential debate turned into a battle of 2 against 1. This is New at 11. NBC News anchors Brian Williams and Tim Russert moderated the debate on MSNBC. Candidates Barack Obama and John Edwards together took aim at frontrunner Hillary Clinton. She didn't fight back against them, though, instead using her time to blast President George Bush. Obama and Edwards both trail Clinton in the polls with about 2 months to go before the first primary. A 19-year-old man has been charged in the death of a Minnesota woman who answered a Craigslist ad.
And that's part of what's happening around America.
Michael John Anderson was charged with second-degree murder Tuesday, accused of shooting Catherine Ann Olson in his home near Minneapolis. Authorities say the 24-year-old woman had gone to Anderson's home Thursday to inquire about a babysitting job she'd seen advertised on the website Craigslist. Olson's body was found Friday night in the trunk of her car, abandoned in a park near Anderson's home. Authorities found Olson's blood and a gun at the suspect's home, and cell phone records showed Anderson did speak to Olson Thursday morning.
Robert Goulet, the handsome baritone whose Broadway debut in Camelot launched an award-winning stage and recording career, has died. He was 73. A Goulet spokesman says the singer died this morning at a Los Angeles hospital while waiting for a lung transplant. Goulet had been on the waiting list for a transplant at Cedars-Sinai Center after being diagnosed with a rare form of pulmonary fibrosis back in September.
This next story is tough to look at. A teen from Flower Bluff, Texas, has been found guilty of robbing a homeless man whose brutal beating was videotaped. During closing arguments, the prosecution again played this disturbing video of the attack. Prosecutors say that it was recorded by friends of the defendant, 18-year-old Cody Lavender. It shows the victim, James Watkus, being attacked by 3 teenagers as he walked along a Flower Bluff road back in February. Lavender is facing between probation to 20 years in prison.
You've heard the phrase, maybe seen the bumper stickers, hang up and drive. They usually refer to people talking on their cell phones, and now some experts say they should also refer to people text messaging on their cells. WECT's Bernadette J. found a chronic offender who texted his way right into a ditch. Bernadette's story is new at 11.